The movie begins in a lab in Japan, where two security officers of the gun organization watch a hedgehog who is being locked in a tube. The hedgehog, who is revealed to be Shadow, suddenly started gaining memories of the moments he spent with a girl who meant so much to him. The security agent suddenly receives a warning alert, and discovers that someone is trying to hack their system. They signal the other security agents, who quickly arm themselves with high-tech guns and goes to the tube where Shadow is, and points their gun towards the tube. Shadow opens his eyes and breaks the tube open, and sets himself free. With his teleportation powers, he takes down the securities in a matter of seconds. He steps out of the lab, and runs towards the city in full speed. Meanwhile, we see Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles about to have a race. Tom and his wife gives the countdown for them, and they begin the race. Tails and Knuckles gets ahead of Sonic in the race using their unique abilities. Sonic suddenly decided to take the race way more seriously, and turns into a rolling ball, which allows him to move at lightning speed, but when he arrives at the finish line, he is surprised to see Knuckles and Tails already there before him. He touches them and realizes that they are not real, but just a holographic image. When he goes back to Tom, they all give Sonic a birthday surprise. Today is his anniversary of when he came to Earth, so they decided to use it as his birthday. They tell him that ever since he came to their lives, it transformed for the better, and Sonic excitingly says they should celebrate this moment. Sonic thanks Tom for the surprise party as it meant a lot to him, but he suddenly discovered the place he grew up when he first came to Earth. They come across a drawing Sonic drew on his first night on Earth. Tom tells Sonic that his mom will be proud of him because when he lost her at a very young age, he didn't let his pain change who he is. On the other hand, Shadow strolls around the city and sees 2024 in a billboard. He realizes he has been locked in the tube for almost 50 years. Just then, hundreds of security agents surrounds him again with their high-tech weapons and shields. Shadow is so fed up that these people won't just leave him alone, and decide to go for the kill. When Sonic and his friends are having a family moment together and cooking, an helicopter with security agents suddenly lands in front of them. Director Rockwell, a member of the Guns, informs Sonic and his friends about a very dangerous situation unfolding right now in Tokyo. Commander Walter is requesting for Team Sonic immediate assistance. They board the chopper with the agents to Tokyo, leaving Tom and his wife behind. Just as the pilot informs Team Sonic that they have arrived at the drop zone, Sonic tells his friends that whether it's Godzilla or hell down there, as long as they stick together, there is nothing they can't handle. They jump out of the chopper in style, and land straight in the city of Tokyo in a very badass way. They see the whole place in ruins, and as they wonder what caused it, Shadow emerges out of the fire and confronts them. Sonic is shocked as Shadow looks just exactly like him. Shadow warns them to walk away, or he will hurt them. Sonic replies that they just want to talk to him and know his reasons for doing all these, but Shadow is not interested to talk to people who jumped out of Gun's helicopter. Knuckles immediately charges towards Shadow and tries to punch him, but Shadow overpowers him, and sends him flying like a piece of shit. They try to fight Shadow as a team, but his movements is just unpredictable, due to his ability to teleport. Shadow took them all at once easily, and rides a bike away warning that they shouldn't try to follow him. Sonic gets angry and follows Shadow's bike, making Shadow really fed up with him. Shadow boosts his bike really high in the sky, and the both of them lands a very powerful fist at the other, which shuts down the entire electricity in Tokyo. Shadow defeats him and handcuffs him to a bridge. Tails frees him, but is upset he went off on his own when they are supposed to be a team. Sonic wants a place they can regroup, so Tails decides to take them to a perfect place for that. Tails takes Sonic and Knuckles to a garden, a top 10 spot in all of Tokyo. Commander Walter meets with them at the table, and Sonic asks him to explain who the hedgehog they fought is. Commander Walter tells him that Shadow's story began a lot like Sonic's own. But when Sonic found family and friends in this planet, Shadow found only pain. It began 50 years ago, when a meteorite crashes down to the city. They discovered that the meteorite contained a life form, the ultimate life form. The scientists put Shadow powers to test, and finds out that it's chaos energy far beyond any living creature. The scientists wanted to use Shadow powers for their own gain, but it proved too dangerous and caused a terrible accident that destroyed the lab, taking human lives along with it. All the scientists in that lab was imprisoned because of that. And since Shadow was too dangerous to let him go, and too valuable to destroy, the Guns Department placed him inside ice for 50 years. Just as Commander Walter concludes the story to them, dozens of drones shows up at the window and releases fire at them. A mysterious person on a motorcycle shows up, and helps them by taking down the drones. After the biker left, Commander Walter, who is half dead, gives Sonic a key to the greatest weapon Guns has ever made, and dies after few seconds. Dr. Rockwell and the security arrive to meet the dead corpse of Walter. Rockwell discovers that the key isn't with Walter, and believes it was Sonic and his friends that are responsible for his death and stole the key. Team Sonic chase after the biker who saved their lives to a bridge, and as the biker takes out his helmet, they realizes he's one of their old enemy, Dr. Stone. He tells them to relax as he's not here to fight, and takes them to see Dr. Eggman, who is wasting his life overfeeding himself. Dr. Eggman is being informed that there is an imposter out there that is making use of his technology. They figure that since Eggman for the first time has the same goal with them, which is Shadow, Team Sonic decides to team up with Eggman to catch their common enemy. On the other hand, Shadow visits the destroyed lab where he was once experimented on, and the scene suddenly takes us to a flashback. Back to where the lab was still operating, Maria, the granddaughter to the professor of the lab, brings her luggages to start living there. When the security directs her room to her, that was when Maria sees Shadow for the first time, inside a tube. She assures him that she just wants to be a friend, and Shadow suddenly begin to like her, and they became tight friends. Their bond became so strong that they played together, danced together, eat together and even sleep together. She steals the keys from her granddad's pocket and takes Shadow outside the lab for the first time, just for him to look at the stars. Maria asks him where he came from, but Shadow reveals to know nothing about his home. Shadow asks Maria if she thinks he's dangerous. The way the scientists look at him, he could tell they are afraid. He says he doesn't know who he is, but Maria tells him that he's her friend, and he can do anything he wants not because of his powers, but because of his heart. Back to the presents, we find out that Maria died long ago from the accident that happened in the lab. The professor reunites with Shadow, who tells him that he can't get Maria out of his head, and in reply, the professor tells him that that's why they will have to punish the world. After a while, Dr. Eggman and Team Sonic arrives at the lab. They all decided to split up and search the place, but Shadow captures them one by one apart from Eggman. That professor who experimented on Shadow meets Eggman, and is revealed to be his grandfather. Eggman doesn't believe him at first, but after he answered some of his questions, Eggman goes to hug his grandfather. He had captured Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails thanks to Shadow. They took the key of the gun's greatest weapon from Sonic, and fly away to begin their evil mastermind plan. Shadow leaves a black hole that tries to suck every one of them in it, but Sonic manages to reach out to Tails' ring, and it teleports them to the top of a mountain. Eggman, who thinks Sonic is now dead, is amazed because he has been trying to get Sonic killed for years, but his granddad achieved it all in one afternoon. His grandpa replied that there is nothing they can't destroy together. Sonic shows up at Tom's house to ask for his help in a top-secret mission, which Tom easily agrees to, as he's getting bored with his wife at home. Without wasting much time, they begin to make plans on how to infiltrate the building of the guns to get the key, but they realize it's impossible to penetrate, because of the thousands of secrets and lasers that could stop you whenever you try to get in. Tom's wife suggests that Sonic should equip himself with the Master Emerald to get in, but he reminds her that the emerald is too powerful to ever use again, and they already made a promise to each other not to touch it. They all travel to the gun's headquarters, where we see Eggman and his father entering into the building. According to Team Sonic plans, Tails plans to disable the traps, while Sonic will use his speed and go in to get the keys, while Knuckles will be available to break stuffs in case of emergencies. Tom and his wife joins them in this plan, by disguising themselves as a security of the guns to enter. After they gained access to the gun's room, and inserted the flash drive, this allows Tails to hack their system. Due to this, Sonic is able to get into the building. On the other hand, Eggman and his granddad were able to get past the lasers thanks to the suit they are wearing, and they both finally found the key to the gun's most powerful weapon. Sonic shows up and tries to stop them, but both Sonic and Eggman gets trapped. Rockwell shows up and reveals that the vault is armed with variable gravity, preventing anyone from getting to the second key. Tom and his wife along with Tails were also caught and captured. Just as Rockwell is confident that there is no way they are escaping this time, Knuckles suddenly bursted right into the building, and sends everyone flying with his fists. But unfortunately, Rockwell escaped with the key, but Tom tells them not to lose hope because he has an idea. He disguises himself as Commander Walter, and Rockwell takes the bait thinking he was actually the one, not knowing it was Tom. He commands her to hand over the key, which she does. Just as he informs the crew that he now has the key, Shadow emerges from the roof and confronts him. Thinking he is Commander Walter, Shadow punches him to get his revenge, but he realizes he is not Walter but Tom. Sonic shows up to see Tom unconscious, and cries to Tom to wake up. Shadow sees this, and suddenly remembers how he acted like that to Maria. Shadow tells Sonic he did what he had to do, and takes the key, then teleports himself. Meanwhile, while Eggman and his granddad get surrounded by the gun's soldiers, Shadow shows up and finishes them off. Shadow handed Robotnik the key, and he teleports the crew to where the powerful weapon is. Robotnik gifted Eggman with a new suit which made him scream in happiness, but he later gets a call from his partner Dr. Stone, who warns him that his grandpa is not to be trusted, as he wasn't completely honest. But Eggman, instead of believing him, sacks him as his assistant and blocks his number. Eggman and his granddad use the key to unleash a very gigantic ship decorated with weapons of mass destruction, and flies it out of Earth. On the other hand, Sonic watches depressingly as Tom is being rushed to the hospital. At this stage, Sonic really wants to stop them by any means necessary, by using the Master Emerald, but Knuckles, who is the only one that knows the location of the emerald, refused to give it to him, because it cannot be wielded by someone whose heart is filled with vengeance. Sonic and Knuckles almost fought because of this, but Knuckles backs down as he knows this isn't the best way. He tells Sonic that the emerald is in the possession of a very good friend and fierce warrior of his, called Wade. Sonic confronts Wade, who uses the emerald to play hockey, and takes it away from him. He absorbs its powers, and quickly headed straight to where Eggman is. Shadow begins to have a second thought on what he's doing, and asks if this really what Maria really wants. We then get another flashback, when the gun security attacks their lab. They ended up shooting at one of the chemicals there, which led to a massive explosion. This explosion resulted to Maria's death, turning Shadow into the evil villain that he is now. Eggman finds out that his grandpa is about to wipe out the entire planet, and that includes them, which he is totally not okay with. Eggman tells him they can rule humanity together, not ending it, but Robotnik replies that humanity is a failed experiment. He breaks Eggman's heart, when he said he never saw him as a family. When he lost Maria, to him, that was his last family. Just as Robotnik moves out of Earth with a gigantic ship to carry out his plan, Sonic suddenly arrives in a god mode, that his enemies thought it was a missile that was been launched. He enters the ship and drags Shadow out of it to kill him for what he did to Tom. Shadow smiles as Sonic now knows what the pain feels like, and he's also making the same choice he did. They both engage in a one-on-one combat. Shadow touches the emerald also, and this transforms him into a white hedgehog, and the fight between them becomes more epic. On the other hand, Eggman, who is not in agreement with what his granddad is planning, tries to stop him. Shadow gains the upper hand in a fight, and mocks Sonic on the kind of hero he is, for caring about revenge more than his family. Sonic grows more angry and releases a mighty punch, that sends Shadow flying to the moon. Sonic defeats Shadow and tries to kill him, but then he remembers what Tom told him, that he should never let his pain change who he is. Shadow said he won, that he should take his revenge, but Sonic chooses to show mercy, saying there are no winners with revenge. Shadow asks how he is able to overcome pain, and Sonic replies that love conquers all. Even though Maria is gone, his love for her will always remain. Shadow feels sorry for what he did, and realized he was blinded by rage. But Sonic tells him that making the right choice now is what matters most. Together, they both launch themselves towards Robotnik's ship to destroy it. Robotnik sees them from afar, and sends robots to kill them, but Sonic and Shadow together was just unstoppable, as they destroyed all the robots. While Eggman fights Robotnik, who later defeats him, Tail and Knuckles arrive to help him out and they defeat Robotnik. Sonic and Shadow stops Robotnik cannon from destroying Earth, while Eggman, Tails, and Knuckles are able to direct it away from Earth, but ends up redirecting it to the moon. Sonic is so exhausted as he falls, and Tails goes to rescue him. To prevent Robotnik's ship from falling to Earth, Shadow decides to push it far away from Earth before it explodes. Eggman apologizes to Agent Stone for not trusting him, and then sacrifices his life to save Earth along with Shadow. Sonic apologizes to Knuckles for everything, and they both hug each other. Tom is revealed to be okay, and as they spend a very happy family together, that was how the movie ended. Thank you for watching, guys. If you love animation movies, please subscribe to this channel and keep watching. Bye.